selling it. And the problem that you have is so much, you're talking about the West Coast, all this product has to come east.
Yes.
It's harvested in the field. It's got about a 10 to 12 day window on it from when it's harvested to when it's going to go out of date. It spends 5 to 7 days in transit, pick, process.
So 5 to 7 days from the West Coast pick to get here to Richmond or the East Coast.
So you got 5 days left on it, and you know, people are used to eating lettuce that I'll call is subpar. And it's just a factor of the way that our country was designed, with all the ag being out west and all the population being out east.
Never looked at it that way. All right,
Yeah.
Carl Gupton is here with us. Alrighty, let's hold. You brought something else here with you. Alrighty, so here we are packaging with this. How long is it? It took 5 to 7 days to get from the West Coast.
So
How long does it take from this being picked to
get on a store shelf?
Yes.
We ran this Friday and it was on a store shelf Saturday. Now, on top of that, so you've got like a 5-day window left with the stuff with conventional farming. Our product has a 21-day shelf life, and it's off of the way that it's grown. It is the reason that we looked in the lettuce. We saw it as one of the highest sellers in retail in the produce category, but it also had the highest waste factor. So we could kind of solve a problem for the retailers out there, that we could give them extended shelf life. We could bring those shrink numbers down from 30% down to 5%. And it helps their bottom line, helps our bottom line. And we can have fresh produce that people trust.
Alrighty, sir. How do you go about doing that?
It is an amazing process that we have. One, we've got a great team behind us, but we've got a 1.5 acre greenhouse that is fully automated. From seed to your fridge, no human hands touch the product. It's a fully automated system that grows. We know what the light levels are, what the airflow levels are, what needs to be done temperature-wise, and we can make all these micro adjustments inside of the greenhouse, control the product down, and then process it, and boom.
How long does it take from the time the seeds to you guys are harvesting?
It takes about 21 to 28 days, depending on the product. What'll kind of blow your mind with this process and why we think the business model works. If we had an 1.5 acre in Salinas County, California, where all this product is grown, USDA says they yield about 32,000 pounds a year out of that 1.5 acres. They have 3 to 4 harvests a year, gets on the product. Our facility in that same 1.5 acres can harvest about 700,000 pounds of lettuce out of it through this fully automated facility that we've got. You know, we're a good sized company, but we only have about 13 team members in our organization. The process, because it's so highly automated.
So when we see people picking out, we think of farming and we think there's somebody there.
It is.
It is.
I mean, that's the way the conventional farm is.
Okay, so what happens with yours?
We're able to really what this came from is Europe is about 30 years ahead of us when it comes to indoor growing, so controlled environment agriculture. We brought over basically the best Europe has to offer into our space. If you think of Europe, Northern Europe's where the majority of the population is. They have limited farmland, they have limited days, the temperature is not great for ag. So the Dutch 100 years ago created these greenhouses where they were able to grow tulips and things like that, and it turned into you know, where they grew their produce, where they grew their food, and they could do it. And we brought over this automated system. We partnered with the right guys up front. Our 3 founders went out and found people with extreme knowledge into this industry. A company called Crop King that helped us design the greenhouse, source the equipment, and taught us how to grow.
How long have you guys been in business?
We have been operational for about 14 to 15 months right now.
Okay, when, you know, as a business, you hang your shingle out, you think you got something. When did the company know that you had something?
We knew we had something when we were building this in the middle of COVID. When we saw the shelves empty in the grocery stores, people were out of produce. They couldn't get it. We were solving that logistics problem. We were bringing the produce to the people. And we had to change. This model is changing the way that we get our food in this country, and we can bring to it. We can guarantee supply. If you look out west in the valley in Salinas, their huge problem is their water. They don't have enough water out there. They're trying to decide: do they give the farms water or do they give the people water?
Well, that's it.
And you know which one's going to lose. On
Yeah,
that.
the farm's going to lose.
The farm's going to lose.
So what is it about? So I guess Chesterfield has the new What is it, what's that, is it berries?
Berries, they're gonna grow strawberries and Plenty's a neat company. Our business models are a little
Little
bit
different.
different. There's this divergence that happened in the CEA space. You see here people say greenhouse grown, you hear vertical farms. Those are kind of the two things. Plenty is a setup of a vertical
A
farm.
vertical farm.
So ours is a greenhouse. So we're using basically mostly Mother Nature. Everything we do, about 70–80% of the energy that the plant gets comes from the atmosphere. We just supplement and make it a perfect environment for it. With vertical farms, they're growing indoors. They're using a lot of power, a lot of energy to it, but it's a really neat process that they've developed.
For us as a people, what will this do when it, as you say, Europe is 30 years ahead? What will it do when we start looking at growing other things the same way?
Yeah, and that's what you're gonna do. I mean, that is, we're gonna see most of our produce. So right now, only about 5% of the produce we get come out of controlled environment ag. They see that number. I mean, Kroger's a prime example where we launched this week with Kroger. Kroger told us in the meeting that they see about 30% of their market turning to CEA in the next 5 years or so. So this is a huge thing because it tells them Kroger can place an order on a Monday, have product on a Tuesday, and I can tell them 20 days, 28 days in advance how much product I have for them. It's not like a farm, like, we have a farmer on our board of directors, and Rob will tell us he could have perfect conditions for 3 months. One day of 2.5 inches of rain ruins his entire crop.